Coming at you with another video. I appreciate you following along with this little I don't know, trek to a level of, I don't know, healing that I've needed as an adult, and reflecting back on my childhood of narcissistic abuse. These videos and other people's videos and channels have really helped me do some healing, and I would like to contribute to all of the healing that's been spread around YouTube. So here I have basically titled this video Narcissistic Usurpation, Realize You Never Existed. And I wanted to use an actual definition from dictionary.com about usurpation. And basically that means to commit forcible and illegal seizure of a position, or basically or a person. And I would say that's definitely what happens within a household headed up by a narcissist, is that they usurp your position as a child, as a human being, as someone to be respected and honored, as someone to be raised appropriately, to be an effective member of society, and to not be damaged. And this goes along with realizing you never existed, because once they take your position, you just become an extension of them. And whenever you do something that is contrary to what they want, then you don't exist. They have no use for you. Or they'll just rope you back in and, ratchet up the abuse. So this is just I'm just going to go through a little bit of a list of some things that I've been reflecting on that really they're basically attributes of the abuse that I was going through and the feelings that I was experiencing in that realm. So, of course, we all know the feeling of never being able to do anything right, because they tell you so. They tell you can't do anything right. One of the things that my dad always loved to say was, "Are you really this stupid? Are you really this slow? You can't do nothing." That's like his favorite. That's like his favorite. It's almost like a mantra, because he said it so much. It was almost like I repeated it to myself, throughout my youth. So, but that's a common thing, to never feel like you can do anything right. Always keeping a low profile for fear of offense, because any type of offense by toward the narcissist is to them it warrants a blow up, and abuse on the utmost scale. And I would say, because my father, I believe, is an overt narcissist. He's not at all quiet and sneaky about his abuse. I mean, he tries to be, because he's such an intellectual. He wants to pretend like he cares about you whenever he tells you about how wrong you are and how your view is wrong. But he's very much out in the open about his authoritarian ways. So another thing is basically you serve all the narcissist's needs. So also another thing is that he loved to use his children as his personal slaves. So we would be running around the house, do this, do that, take my dishes to the sink, clean out my den, make my bed. There was one point where I had come home from college and they were trying to sell the house, and my parents left for a little bit, and I was stuck at the house, and the house was all perfect and pristine, except their room was a little bit messy. But they were going to have a showing, and at the last minute they called me and said, "There's going to be someone arriving at the house in about 30 minutes. Will you clean our room?" Clean your damn room? You need to get here and clean the damn room yourself. I'm not your slave, but I did it. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? Anyway, you can tell I'm a little bit bitter about that. But anyway, feeling anxious when that person is around or when that person might arrive. So I can tell you, all of us, because I have 2 sisters and a brother, all of us during the summers, between school years, whenever our parents were going to come home, my mom would come home later than my dad always, because my dad always felt like he worked so efficiently that he could leave work early I mean, he was like this executive in this company of somewhere that we never knew which one it was, and because he never kept a position for longer than like 5 years. He would always jump around because he always felt better. He always felt like he wasn't being appreciated. So, but he would whenever we knew he would come home, which was probably around like 3 o'clock, 3:30, which is really early for a work day. We would clean everything up, and we would all run upstairs. When we heard the garage door open, we were upstairs in our rooms with our doors closed. We just knew. And if he called any one of us down, we knew all hell was going to break loose. Because there's no escape. Anyway, so, but we always felt anxious when he'd come home. When Mom would come home, it was like, yeah, we would go meet her, bring the groceries in. Hey, Mom, how you doing? When Dad came home, we would run upstairs. Because hell comes through that door, not a father. Let's see. Never feeling equal or respected. Definitely not. He would pretend like he wanted to hear your opinion, but he just wanted to refute it. Always having to ask permission, even as an adult. Leaving the house and coming home. Like, say it's in the middle of the day. You have to ask him to leave the house? Really? It's not late. It's in the middle of the day. Oh, you need to ask me before you leave the house so that we know where you're at. I'm an adult. That ain't none of your business. Anyway, terrified to give your opinion. Honestly, my dad has me branded as this, as the person you can't ask for opinion, because whenever he and my sister, one of my sisters, would get at it and they'd be joking around, or if they'd be arguing, he would always turn to me and be like, don't you agree? And I'd be like, I'm not in it. Because I know if I give my opinion, his anger and his wrath will be directed toward me. There's no escape from that. So I just wouldn't bother. I'd stay real quiet. Except this one time, the one time that I remember. There's probably several other times, but I don't remember. There was one time, one of my sisters has a, I guess you could say, she just chose a different lifestyle than my dad as a Christian, supposedly Christian man would have liked, because she personally doesn't date men. She dates women. And there was one time, there's kind of like a controversy in our household because he'd seen her with a girl at school. And he would talk about how she was, this is the scapegoat, of course. He would talk about how she was a lesbian and how something's wrong with her and she should be ashamed of herself and all this stuff. So, but there was one time she was there, my parents' bedroom is near the kitchen. He was doing these long rants and I was in front of the door talking to him. Not really talking, just listening, because he talks at people, doesn't talk to people. Just ranting and ranting. And he didn't know that my sister was standing there in the kitchen. I guess she was on her phone. And then he started talking about her, saying she's a lesbian, all this stuff. And then when she stood up and said, do you have something you want to say to me? Of course, he retreats and he's like, I didn't say anything. That ain't none of your business. You done mind your own business, yada, yada. And she was like, didn't he just say yada, this and that? And then my dad was like, did I say that? And then I slightly nodded my head. Because he did talk about her. And let me tell you, he wrote me all these texts. He shut his door. He ignored me for like a week. It was like me telling the truth was wrong. In his mind, I had to subvert to whatever he wanted me to say. It was really sad. But that was one of many examples. So, terrified to give your opinion, definitely. Let's see, chronically feeling empty. I remember when I was in high school, I didn't dress very well. I didn't really take care of my appearance. I hated the way I looked. I hated my height because I'm fairly tall. I hated everything about me. I didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't really have that many friends, loyal friends. And I remember one day I was walking between classes. And I was looking at what I was wearing. My mom always bought me sizes that were too big. And I had shoes that were too big. I didn't do my hair very well, and I was just like, ugh. I felt so empty. I'm like, why do I exist? I hated myself. And I just felt so empty. So that chronically feeling empty is such a poignant point, because all of that battering and all that demeaning, belittling and teasing and criticizing and chipping away at someone's personal boundaries and someone, just their person, their intrinsic person, causes them to hate themselves because there's nothing left. As a child of a narcissistic parent, there's nothing left. We don't even know who we are. We can identify with anyone because we're not being reflected. We're reflecting them. And we don't like what we see. So these are some of the things that I've been reflecting on, and I wanted to share them because I felt like these are some things that can be really helpful in reflecting upon what it is that we're going through. How can we identify what the problem is, and how do we get help? We have to recognize what it is that's aching. And I feel like these points really help to share what's aching and acknowledge the things that we try to ignore and brush past. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.